Does gear really matter? This is something that I'd think about all the time when I was first getting into photography, using just my Fujifilm S2800 HD. A massively basic camera, but it really helped me to learn the fundamentals of photography. And after enjoying this hobby for 10 years, I've come to realize that there are things which are far more important than the gear that you shoot with. So in this video, I want to talk to you about the things that money just can't buy. Now, as I said, this was the first camera I ever properly used that I considered a real camera. It certainly looked like one to me as a kid. And they might not be the best thing in the world, but the flaws of this camera is actually its real strengths when it comes to learning photography. And that is, it's absolutely chock full of restrictions. But why are restrictions good when it comes to wildlife photography? Well, because it really forces you to become more creative. For example, this camera here and then the one that I had subsequently, which was the Sony a3 III, have really small sensors. And as such, their low light performance is pretty rubbish. And what this meant is that in low light conditions, I really had to reduce my shutter speed as much as I could. Now, for someone with such shaky hands, I have essential tremors, which basically just means I shake all the time. I've got an inbuilt slender tone. This can be a really difficult task, so I had to find ways around it. But through developing this skill and being able to look for different ways that I could stabilize my camera. For example, this shot I took with my more modern camera was shot at 600mm, but at 1/30th of a second. Now, considering the usual rules of photography, where we generally want to have a shutter speed of 1 over the focal length of our lens, this really exceeds that rule, and I really think that it helps to show just the benefits of that creativity. And all of this I feel that is so helped by the restrictions that were placed upon me earlier on in the hobby. But that's not to say that I'm not still learning. Wildlife photography has such a unique ability to surprise you at any moment. For example, for the last 3 or 4 years now, I've been down to Norfolk every winter. And last year I encountered something I never would have expected. And that was that we ended up getting a snowstorm on the beach. And this meant I had to apply a completely different set of rules to what I was originally planning. So I think the takeaway from this is twofold. One, that you should really always come prepared. But two is expect the unexpected. But when it comes to learning photography, it's not just the subjects that you can learn from. And there's 3 main things that I want to mention here. The first being surrounding yourself with the right people. Now, I feel that I've been very fortunate in that I've got a lot of friends who know a lot more about photography than I do. And as such, not only are we able to talk about different techniques that you could use, but also they're going to be the most honest in terms of the actual critical feedback that you'll receive. Whereas friends and family who are not into the hobby, obviously they're going to be very supportive, and that's really lovely and great to have as you're developing. But having a bunch of knowledgeable friends is also going to help you develop a lot faster as well. Also, these friends are likely to be interested in other areas of photography. Me, for example, I've got lots of friends in the wedding industry, and as such I often get invited along to second shoot, which is a great opportunity for me to learn portrait photography, but also I can apply the lessons that I've learned from this to my wildlife photography. For example, my friend Drew, who's also got a wildlife photography channel, and during a wedding he showed me the benefit of introducing foreground elements into photos, which is something that I do now all the time in my wildlife photography. And the final and the most accessible resource is things that you can find online. And that's one of the big reasons that I love YouTube, is it opens up the hobby to such a fantastically broad audience. But also there's now a new resource which has become available since I started photography. And that's the use of AI through large language models like ChatGPT. Now, this is an absolute huge topic to cover, but in this video we're not going to go too far down that rabbit hole, and I just want to give you the main way that I use ChatGPT. For me, ChatGPT acts a lot like an interactive Google, where I can ask it questions. For example, if there's a species which I don't know a lot about, but I want to go and visit, I can ask it when I have to go, where's the best place to go. You can ask it for a full breakdown of what your trip could look like. There is an absolute wealth of things that you could potentially ask. Now, I'm not saying that gear like this is not going to make a huge difference to your photography. What I am saying is that without the knowledge of how to use it, you're not going to get the best results from it. But there's also another interesting thing that relates to gear, and it ties all these factors all together in one. And for this I need a whiteboard. So when it comes to each of these factors that I've discussed, they're going to do 2 things. Now, it's a very high-tech graph, so you're going to have to bear with me. We're going to have how good a photo is up here, and the amount of something down here. So if we think about basic gear, it's going to give us a bad photograph. And then as we get better gear, we're going to get better photographs. However, there gets to a point where it's no longer a linear relationship like this, and actually it's going to start to curve off like this. You can see how wonky this is. Now, if we compare this to something else, for example, me asking my friend Drew about photography, initially he's going to give me a little bit of information, and that's going to help us get a little bit better at our photographs, and we end about here. But then as I ask him more, we're going to get into the same situation where eventually the things that he's telling me, I already know. So we're actually going to end up in these diminishing returns right here. And you see, these two graphs are exactly the same. And it's going to be roughly the same for anything. For example, if I learn about badger behavior, initially it's going to help me to get better results. Perhaps I can get closer to my subject and they're going to be less scared, allowing me to stay with them for longer. But eventually there comes to a point where you're learning very niche information and the actual returns that you're getting from it is going to be far less. Again, following this graph of diminishing returns. And so this is a very roundabout saying of yes, gear matters, but eventually there comes to a point where you may want to focus your energies elsewhere. Or the other way to view it is if, say, you're limited by funds of buying a new camera, you can focus your energy elsewhere and get an equally good improvement in the results that you're going to get. And learning and applying all these skills is such a fantastic way to keep you motivated in the hobby. And if you're like me, then the other way you like to stay motivated is through setting personal goals. And these goals can be absolutely anything, from winning a competition through to seeing your first ever badger. Which brings me back to the here and now. My personal photography goal for the last year has been running this YouTube channel, which I've loved absolutely every second of. It's been such a learning curve between balancing the photography side and the videography, and I've had to approach photography in such a different way. Through planning what videos I'm going to make, it really influences the style of photography that I'm going to do when I go out and do trips. And as such, it almost feels a little bit like photojournalism. It's fantastic. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, consider hitting that subscribe button. The other thing that you should click is this video right here, which YouTube is going to recommend. I don't know what it is when I'm filming this video, but YouTube knows its stuff, so I wouldn't don't anger YouTube. Click the video right there, and I'll catch you in the next one.